All right. So once again, welcome back. My name is Dr. T. Hassan Johnson. I am talking with my father, Dr. C. Danny Johnson, retired pastor. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing all right.
All right. Question on the docket for the day, and I just got the announcement YouTube that you live, so just letting you know. But question for the day: what do you think most people don't know about fatherhood?
Most people don't know.
Most people don't know. What do you think people need to know about fatherhood?
Hmm. Well, fatherhood is complex because I think most people know it, but they don't necessarily think about it too tough,
Mm,
which is this that fatherhood is like entirely about other people. It's about taking care of other people,
mm,
whether you're blood or not.
mm,
Uh, if you're married and you have kids, okay, it's defined by your family, but there's more to it than just your family.
mhm,
You have to maintain relations with those who could benefit your family. That's
mhm.
something that maybe I don't know who thinks about it or not, but it's primarily about navigating life with a real commitment toward other people.
Okay. What would you say to a young father who doesn't know how to maintain himself in the midst of taking care of everyone else? You know what I mean? You got
Yeah.
this new baby, you got a wife or a girlfriend, you got family expectations, you got work, how would you what would you tell, a young man who needs to know how do you sustain yourself in the midst of learning all these new roles?
Well, that's tough in the sense that uh, very few people can manage that well. It's all trial and error in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
Uh, I talk with, I see it a lot. Actually, your little brother's going through that now. He's trying to figure out how do you work and, take care of his girlfriend and all of that. So it's a difficult thing. It's a difficult thing, and you ultimately, I think, end up figuring out what things do you get off your plate
Mm,
in order to maintain the plate.
okay.
You can't have a plate if you don't pay attention to what's the priority, which is
Hmm.
why things like addictions and habits that are really rooted in self-interest, self-concern, self-fulfillment, usually have, it can be very disturbing to a family situation unless it's handled by people in an intelligent way, where they talk,
Yeah.
they balance things out. But yeah, it's just a hard thing to do.
I'm
It,
smiling. I'm smiling though because when I was a kid, one of the words that I remember you saying probably more than any other was priority.
yeah,
Understanding the importance of making priorities, prioritizing things.
yeah,
Um, and that seemed like to be a huge message, that you really wanted to drill into my head as a young boy. Um, you
that's
know,
true.
why is it so important, especially for men and most particularly for fathers? You kind of talked about it a second ago, but delve in a little more if you would. Why is priority such an issue?
Because it's so easy to become distracted and pulled away by other interests,
Mm,
which may come from the family itself. Fatherhood really is about finding that anchor spot and holding it down, and this is where everybody can operate, everybody can function.
right.
Uh, and it's not really about having a house big enough. Uh, that's not really the deal, but
Mhm.
it's having a place where everyone can fit.
Okay.
even if they're on the couch. As long as they fit, as long as they're welcome, as long as they know that this is a safe place to come to.
Okay.
And that's a stretch right there, because some people's sense of safety is very different. You
Hmm.
know, some people like to fight,
Hmm.
and that's just the way they operate in the world.
Hmm.
But
Okay.
yeah, basically, it's trying to figure out what's going to be my anchor, where what's going to be the main focus. So for a young man beginning his career, or whatever, career, I'm not sure how to understand that sometimes, but what
Right.
whatever it takes to sustain yourself and your family, quote unquote family, then you have to navigate. How do focus on your career, because that's how you're paying for everything. But
Hmm.
then when you get home, a lot of times you find yourself criticized or questioned. Oh, you're gone too long. You're always working. Or when you get home, you're tired. You don't have time for us. And that's very destabilizing in a lot of ways, because you can only do so much.
Yeah.
And now this is a place where partner, if you and your partner are in tune, then she can explain some things that may be difficult for the father to explain, because he's busy
If you're in tune. Yeah.
balancing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But if you're not in tune, then she's gonna add to the chorus of criticism, and after a while, it starts to eat away at
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
If you don't bail, you bail in your heart.
What would you say is in terms of where you are now,
Mm.
where would you put God in this process, being a father, adapting to these new roles, dealing with expectations of you? Where would you say where you are now, where God fits in this? How do you account? What does a man do in terms of that?
You got to make a distinction between God and religion, because they're different.
Hmm.
Some people assume that being religious incorporates godliness into your life, which is not necessarily so.
Hmm. Hmm.
You don't have to go to church to become a godly person, but it can be helpful in terms of how you define it.
Hmm.
And even then, you still have to learn wisdom, patience, to figure things out. But I would, I, I don't think you can avoid God being in your life.
Okay.
You can avoid how you respond. You can avoid how you invest in that.
Hmm.
But to me, God is the fabric of reality. So if you deny Him, all you're doing is denying yourself. You're denying life. You're denying the reality that surrounds you and
Hmm.
is you. So
Hmm.
I don't see God as a big old white dude with a long beard sitting somewhere with a telescope paying
Hmm.
attention to me.
Hmm.
I see God as the principle of truth itself, and that truth does not want to hide. It
Okay.
it, it wants you to access it.
Hmm.
It does it will seek you out, because everything that can be known is
Right.
already known.
Right.
You just may not know it.
So whether you call it God or even as an atheist and you don't recognize it at all, you're still dealing with the principle.
Yeah,
And the only question is how you understand it. It's not a question of whether or not it exists. It's how you understand it. Because
yeah,
so for some people, they hear it as a voice or a conscience, a guide. Some people, they see it in nature. Some people see it in other people or even themselves. But you're saying that it just becomes a question of attention and where you find the connection, and and prioritizing that connection.
I couldn't have put it better.
So,
That was a great way to do it, to summarize that. Yes.
and how does that, how do you apply that practically when you got, you know, so many responsibilities, kids crying, like you said, even your wife or your girl arguing with you. And this will be the last question. And we're doing short, really short pieces. And if this is something you're interested in, Dr. Johnson delving into, just go ahead and post a question in the comment section. And we might even do another video where he goes into greater depth. But these are just kind of short hits that, I want him to kind of speak on. So the last question is, how do you do that practically?
It takes time and practice.
Okay.
It just takes time and practice. But again, if you have a priority, um, it changes how you handle your day.
Yeah.
For me, let's say when I was a teenager, and I can't say I was ever just all out wild. I can't say that, and none of my friends would believe it.
I hear you.
But as close as I came, to doing the kind of things that I felt like doing at the time, uh, a time did arise in my life where the thought, where I became
Oh,
aware of
now,
the
1 second.
existence of.
I'm sorry. I want you to take me off camera, and I want you to finish your statement. You
Uh,
just
anyway, it's I think it. Now I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, I get confused as I age. But anyway, we're talking about incorporating God in your life. I think, yeah, it's a matter of priority. Okay, I was remembering when that priority affected me in different ways, and so I guess you learn to appreciate certain things. If you're an athlete and you run track and you want to run track better, you practice. I was a bodybuilder at one time. I learned to train. I started out the first day, went to the gym, worked out with this brother that was amazing to look at. Homeboy was ripped and thick and he had it all together. And he let me get on the bench press with him. And so he started at 135 pounds. So he put that on the bar. He said, "Hey, try this." I couldn't do it. But over time, through persistence, practice, yeah, that became my starting point. After a while, I could, 135 was, like an empty bar. Didn't make any difference. 600 and something made a difference. But anyway, I can't bench press no 600 something pounds.
there we go.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
getting the hang of this thing.
Well, thank you very much for dropping that today. And like I said, to those of you who are watching, feel free to comment with Dr. Johnson. He can, expound upon some things in the comments. And if need be, like I said, we can do a follow-up to any topic we're covering. Like I said, these are intentionally quick hits just to kind of provoke thought. So thank you for your time. And thank you,
Appreciate
Doc.
it. Love you.
All right. Love you
Take
too.
care.
Hit the live button.